Hello, I'm David Holmes on behalf of homely.com.au, and today our guest, we have the pleasure of speaking to Tracey Dixon from McGrath Hunters Hill. Tracey's a partner there, has been selling in that area for around about 20 years, so an enormous amount of experience really in an elite area and an elite level of marketing that she offers to her clients. Now, make sure you hit the subscribe button below for our YouTube channel, and also jump on both iTunes and also Spotify and follow homely.com.au for all of our podcasts. Tracey, welcome to you. Thank you for investing some time with us today.
Oh, that's my pleasure, Dave. It's lovely to talk to you.
So,
Happy
Tracey,
to help out, and hoping all our guys are, clicking into Homely and looking at some of the beautiful properties on board at the moment.
they are, and look, I'm biased, but they are very beautifully presented on Homely too. I don't mind telling you. So that's good. Tracey, let's talk about some of those things. You have a reputation for very elite level marketing. I'm interested to see how the last couple of weeks, or I suppose the last month, since we've really delved very quickly and head dived into this this pandemic, how your marketing might have changed, or what things that you might have seen as changes moving forward, and things that you've had to maneuver in these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, it's been really interesting, hasn't it? We're all sitting there wondering what the world's going to throw at us next, and this has happened, and I think it's been a really great kind of learning curve for everyone in business. We're lucky that our businesses have, been able to keep turning over. We can, with restrictions, still show our beautiful homes, and and we've had to innovate quickly to be able to make sure that we can still service our vendors and buyers. Buyers have become, the new black in real estate. We've got to look after them, make sure we get them through heaps of properties. Some of the marketing changes we had to make pretty quickly, and I've quite enjoyed it, because we're actually dealing with people that are deadly serious about looking at homes. So rather than having a whole bunch of people come through properties that, are just kind of thinking about it or just starting their journey, the ones that have picked up the phone, made appointments, come to the homes during this whole lockdown scenario have been serious. So it's been great to meet those buyers, and I've found that we're able to spend more time with people. We're actually really able to dig deep. So I think questioning has become to find out people's motivation and when they want to buy and how and what and all that sort of stuff, and how we can get them from A to B more quickly has been really 100% important. So my team we're all instructing each other to dig deep with the questioning, find out all about that. The way we're trying to do some live stream of our property open inspections. So when we're at the inspection, we're sort of going there about 15 minutes before, and last weekend I did some of the first ones, some live stream of the property walkthrough. And it's interesting doing live, as you can imagine, because you're there and things happen, birds fly past, planes, not too many at the moment, but it's been great. So we've been doing that walkthrough. We have to be very familiar with the home. We point out the best parts of the property to the buyers, and often they see a lot more during that than they can sometimes just on still photography. So I'm finding
I love that, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I think some people have lost the art of sales. So now you're actually in a home, and as an agent, you're having to actually represent the home, selling the features and the benefits, and the features of the home, as opposed to just being information providers. So I kind of love that. And do you think that you're then presenting a very authentic and a very raw and real presentation of the home? This is as it is. It can't get any more genuine than a live video, as opposed to glossy edited photographs.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a lot of comments last week from people saying, oh, I didn't realise how close the water was to that property, or I didn't realise that boat pen was so big, or I didn't realise there was a wet-edge pool there, even though, it was in the photographs. It's kind of showed the whole lay of the land. So I think it was really positive. And some people that saw it kind of hadn't really thought about coming to look at that property, but I actually had a lot of feedback that, that more inspections taking place, etc. So we're going to be doing a lot more of that.
Okay, let's just dig down into a couple of the things that you said there. I like that you said that the buyers are the new black. Now, great agents have always serviced their buyers and their sellers very, very well. But what do you mean by that, become the new black? I mean, obviously that has probably, in a great market, buyers tend to be second place because it's easy to sell a property. But in a market like this, you do have to be qualifying hard and making sure you're servicing and even over-servicing your buyers.
Yeah, 100%. I think, look, for a long time we have been focusing on buyers. We do a lot of off-market sales as well, and because I'm working in a marketplace with quite diverse diverse price points. Like there's apartments starting at 800, 750, and then there's multi-million-dollar waterfronts. So we're moving people sort of up and down within the suburb, and a
Sure.
lot of times it's very useful to know a lot more intel about that buyer. I work with a lot of people that will sell their home when they find the next move. So whether it's moving up or downsizing or whatever. So just I'm finding that probably the biggest thing for me as let's call it the lead agent, my team are focusing on working out who the buyers are that are going to buy today, and we're kind of categorizing them in people with finance already ready and people with that have bid on homes and they've got a deposit and all that kind of stuff. So those people I'm working really closely with, but I'm also doing things to kind of disrupt the everyday conversation. So
Okay.
if you like, a lot of times you ring people and go, how are you going? How's the house? How are the kids? All that sort of stuff, which is lovely. But you know what? There's not a lot of value in that for the day-to-day kind of transaction. That's kind of something that you might do when you're thinking of, putting people into the database and are kind of working on them for the next 5 years. But
Sure.
what we're doing right now is knowing those buyers that might move when they find the right place. We're kind of ringing and going, you know what, we've actually got a buyer and this description that they have just given me is exactly your property. So we're kind of trying to push people forward with their real estate transaction. And we're talking in the office yesterday, and most of us all agreed that if somebody walked in and gave us a great offer on our home, we'd probably look at taking it,
All of
something
us,
a little bit
yes.
out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
So, someone said to me, oh, would you sell the house if I took that guy down there and he offered you, whatever? And I went, yeah, I probably would. So that's half of the buyers, the owners we deal with every day, probably. If you rang up and said, listen, Mr. XYZ, I've got someone that's pinpointed your home, like it's not a nonsense call, or it's not wasting anyone's time. But if you seriously have a buyer, there's no reason why you can't get on the phone and do that. So that's something we're all doing a lot more of, getting right to the point. Yeah.
So do we overcomplicate it sometimes? As you're saying, that's half the buyers and half the sellers. If you had something for sale and somebody offered a great, price at a great level, you would sell. But are we overcomplicating that sometimes? And are our sellers just a little bit maybe cautious or just a little bit wary of that as a line that's been used in the past? Love to sell your property. I've got 2 or 3 buyers ready to go.
I think you've got to have 100% credibility around that. I would never ring someone and say that unless I thought that I had 80% chance that this buyer would buy that home. So, this is a matter of, after a lot of work with that buyer, what they want, and they kind of have missed out on 1 or 2 homes, and that there's a potential seller there. So it's not sort of something that people do as a bit of joy, a bit of fun. It's got to be serious. But when I mentioned like disrupting the conversation, I meant that you're ringing them with a purpose. So it might be just to say that, look, you know what, I did sell the house around the corner. It's sold for a price point that I know your home is in. If there was any thought of doing something, and these are to people that are, let's call them semi-warm, prospects. Because
Sure.
at the moment, everyone's going to be scared to buy before they sell. So if you all of a sudden make a few people, they've sold and they become the next hot buyer, it's just a matter of being transactional at the moment. You've got to make these things happen. They're probably not going to fall in your lap. But normally during May, we might be running 8 auctions. Well, we've got 2 signed up. We've got about 7 other properties that we're working on. So, I'm thinking that, okay, this has happened. I always thought April would be a bit of a write-off. We've got Easter and Anzac Day and school holidays. Look, we were never expecting it to be a great time. But I've just noticed in the last week or 2 that people are coming back in the market, and the activity for people looking on the internet and the inquiry we are getting is actually huge. And I think that's because we've all got more time. We've got more time to smell the roses, think about what we might want for the future, walk in the streets, walk past signboards, all that stuff. We've got time. So I think that agents have got to capitalise on that. And look, it might be a couple of buyers through off market, but then people get their head around, well, do you know what, Tracey, we actually thought about it. Now that we got a bit excited about the option of having someone through, now we might take that next step and actually go on the market officially, because we do actually want to move. So it's kind of just, I guess, maneuvering things into a position where you're creating activity for yourselves and the owners.
Has it changed the attitude of some buyers, do you think? Are we now looking at time and everything that's going on in our world going, hey, we should do the upgrade, we should, or do the downsize, or we should do it now? Is there more motivation because of what's happened and a bigger appetite to go, you know what, life's short, let's go and have a look at this and let's have what we want?
Yeah, look, I think there's a bit of that. I mean, none of us are able to go traveling at the moment.
Mm,
We're all kind of stuck in our zone. I think there's a lot of people that are actually, we hear a lot about people that businesses are bad or they've lost their job. There's a lot of people that are actually doing super well at this time, and
mm.
they are. And, interest rates at a historic low. Banks are wanting to lend. I'm sure the state government would love to ramp up the number of stamp duties that they're achieving. So I think there's going
Yes.
to be a lot of positivity around the fact that people don't like to move in a market that's going up. They hate selling and feeling that they're buying into an upward market. That's why I think when the market was very strong over the last couple of years in certain patches, a lot of people, the stock levels are low because people are worried about that. Well,
Mm.
now they're kind of thinking, look, do you know what, if we sold now and we're buying into a market that might be a little tougher for a while, that's going to be and we want to upgrade, and we're the money is at a level that we can comfortably afford, then it's given a lot of people stuff to think about. And I think we having the family home, the aspiration of buying a better place to live is something that Australians have typically always loved. So
Yes.
I think that's on the agenda for a lot of people now that they've had time to think, and they
Mm.
might not be going to Europe and spending all that money in June, July again as well.
It's true. Now, you said you're asking different questions of the buyers. Is there anything that you're specifically looking now around motivation or qualifying of the buyers that's been different than you've looked at before? Or is it just a more extensive and a more exhaustive list?
Yeah, I think it's kind of corralling those buyers that really are able to pursue a property and buy it in the next, let's call it 3 months.
Mhm.
People get finance approved. They often work towards those dates. We work fairly closely with the people in our team from Oxygen that are, approving loans for people, and people tend to want to buy during that period. So, we're trying to focus on those buyers. We're trying to work towards different price points with our buyers. So saying, okay, look, you might not have traditionally thought of this style of house, but maybe let's have a look at that. And I'm trying to get some of my people that are delaying the process, say till spring, because they feel like they just want to, kind of
Yeah.
sort of take a sit at the moment, that maybe it's that better time to be on the market now and be the buyer later in the year when things might start to, when a lot more activity and properties might come up.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
We spoke of innovation before. What's some innovation or strategies that you've used, or how have you innovated differently in this time than perhaps you would have, or how's this made you more efficient in that way?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely focusing on my social media more, because I feel people are, I know we're all spending probably just that bit more time on it.
Mm.
I'm making comparisons in the market. So, actually this year to last year, whilst we've had this COVID hiccup,
Mm.
the market was performing exceptionally well. Volume was up from this time, say January to May last year. We've actually had about 8 more sales this time this year than we did last year.
Okay.
So I'm really actually focusing on the fact that the market probably went up in the first half of the year quite considerably. Yes, I feel that it's kind of going to level out and perhaps plateau, and there could be some properties that, that maybe are on the market longer. But I think comparison year to year is good. So on social media, I've been kind of plugging that. We've had some great sales even in the last month. So during this month, we've had 3 sales. One sold prior to auction, one sold after its auction, and one sold one off market
Mm.
for a significant sort of price point above 6 million. So, there's no reason that we should all feel like business is over. It's not. It's just that it perhaps may be just that little bit sort of higher hanging fruit that we need to aim for, and we need to make more things happen. So, I think innovation, we've got to get, before we had to get the people to the house. Now we've got to get the house to the people more. So, we've been doing video walkthroughs, as I said, the live streaming. I'm doing more video posts on my social media.
And are
I'm
people
doing more
connecting with you
video.
more from
Sorry?
than are people connecting with you more now because you're doing that and you're showing a different side of, not a different side of yourself, but you're being, you're just showing that human side of yourself even more so than you have in the past, not the highly edited videos and all that sort
Yeah.
of stuff. Yeah, okay.
100%. Like
Yeah.
I was really always one for the high edited video that showed the property beautifully, and we had the nice, the
Yes.
points about the home or what I love the most. But now I just think when you've got to do something live and you're walking through a home, the good things just come to you because they're in front of you, and I think people really respond to that. I guess spontaneity
Yeah.
in what you're saying about the home, and I think they like to see that bit of an uncut version as well. So sometimes I can say, what the owners love here is that the neighbours have all been here for like a long period of time, and there's a lot of camaraderie in the street, and even during this period they're all out in the street having a glass of wine together. So it just gives you that little bit more information.
Yeah.
Also on our sort of social media page, I'm doing a little bit more what's happening in the market. So at the moment, I think agents need to have that hyper local knowledge. There was a sale that happened in Hunters Hill today. We didn't sell it, but I have to be now reporting that to my owners because they're going to be going, okay, that's great. Right in the middle of all this, we're still in lockdown. We're still all doing private appointments. A sale happened today. That's about the 5th for the month. Excellent. There's only 12 houses on the market. So I think things are going to loosen up that way when people see some positive news stories. So that's the sort of stuff we're doing on social media.
I think that hyper-local point is really, really important because so many people are getting on there, giving a market update, but it's not relevant and it's not specific to their local market. And, one agent doesn't create, or control an entire market. It's very much about your local patch. So, yeah, very interesting. How do you see the marketing side of things changing now, moving forward? Obviously, we've always done big signboards, and we were just talking about those very professional videos and the drone shots and all those sort of things. And now we're in a place where people are going to be expecting that walkthrough. Is that something that continues in the months to come, say spring? And we reference that as a bit of a time frame that everyone's looking forward to. Does that change marketing? How real estate marketing's been done for the last 18 months or the last 5 years? Or
I think so.
does?
Yep. Yep. Like I said, we've got to take the house to the people now. I think they expect it. I think we'll get more people engaging if we do that. So I'm going to continue the live stream for the properties. I think it's something, I just bought myself a gimbal so I can stick my phone on and make it a little bit more, streamlined. I've had great feedback from it. I've had comments while people are there. Can you show us, the laundry? Like it's quite interesting. So that's something that will stay with us. I think we've got some new products that I've encouraged, our campaign track to launch for us, which is just a video walk through the house like I would do, but we can actually load that onto the internet sites now. So I think rather than, we don't do the full-on video for each house. It's expensive, it's time-consuming, and not everybody wants to pay, $600-700 for a video. But, a new package of, say, $200 to do the video through the home is going to be something that we can email easily to overseas clients. The online auction facility. What a great thing. We've had a couple of those over the last month and I've really enjoyed it. I felt that they are a little bit more slow moving, probably a little bit more work for the auctioneers.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I've found that the feedback's been excellent. I had a couple bidding from Singapore last week on a property, and it was great. I could give them a call and say, hey, you sure you're 100% done? We're at the reserve, can you, and they've got time at home to sit together, talk openly. They haven't got the agent breathing down their neck. I think it's something we will definitely always now live stream our auctions because you just never know when somebody wants to, get online and register. And I think we will have more people involved that way. Someone might be a wedding, but they can pop out and watch the online auction. I've enjoyed watching them for my colleagues as well. So, that's something that's definitely going to stay with us.
Hopefully the integration of both, hopefully the on-site factor is going to create some emotion and certainly then I suppose the inclusiveness of having people watch online and not having them excluded is really, really important. But it's nice to have the energy on the street side. Just think of the poor old auctioneer in that point. That's the important
The number of viewers was so big compared to what we would normally have at a house these days, you know, because everybody's busy doing things. So, but they can watch it on their phone. I was actually watching some of them late into the day last week. So I don't know. I think it's something that really it was available before, but were we using it? No, because it was probably just that little bit of extra, you know, it took us all a while to get our head around it and how people register and how it works. And, you know, but I think it's fantastic. So
It's certainly
I'm
come a long
happy
way.
with 2 or 3 of the new products that are out there.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. And on the other side of marketing, I suppose we've got portals, we've got signboards, newspapers, magazines, all those sort of things. How does that look moving forward when people are now wanting that very real time? And what I love about those walkthrough inspections is when the buyers are able to literally ask you questions and you point out something. What may be important to me, i.e. the garage, may not be important to the next one who's looking for a studio or something along those, you know, or a creative space. So it is interesting.
I've found that people, even if they can't get to the inspection time, you know, on Saturday or they're running late or whatever, I've just said to them on text, you know, people have text for an inquiry and they said, oh, we can't get there this weekend. And I've just said, listen, do you want me to do a FaceTime with you and we can run through the property, you know, and I've done that 2 or 3 times. So it's really interesting that it's just something that we just didn't think of doing. We just always wanted the person to be there with us, but you know, there's just so many different ways of doing business. So I think that, you know, the innovation that's come from this has been probably really positive for our industry, and I think it may streamline, you know, a lot of different ways we do business. I think at the moment, already I'm doing a lot of my conversations with my owners, just like this. We're having a meeting with, you know, all the team and the owner. It's online. It's saving everyone coming to their place. They feel like they've got to tidy up. You know, it's just, I don't know, it just seems to have saved a lot of the running around. A lot of the times we're more casual. We're just, you know, being like people to each other, and it's very refreshing. So I don't know whether you found that as well.
Absolutely. Once restrictions are relaxed, does it improve time management? Are you able to handle the same amount of buyers and sellers in a week as you always have been, or is it even more streamlined now so you actually can do more?
Yeah, I think that we're going to. I mean, I've always sold a number of properties just with appointment only. That's been some of my, you know, some of our strategy around a lot of our high-end properties. But it just made me realise that, you know, we don't have to have 30 non-qualified buyers walking through a property to feel like, you know, the property's on track. We just need to have qualified buyers that are engaged with the home. So I think that, you know, the old open home scenario, just it may be, you know, it may be sort of the elephant in the room that perhaps, and I know a lot of owners haven't always loved, you know, a lot of people traipsing through their house or the neighbours or whatever. And I know as agents we love it because we get to meet the neighbours and everything. But, you know, it can mean that you are dealing probably with more serious people on a more, you know, I guess, intimate level, if you like. I've found the conversations and the relationships I've been building with buyers and sellers at the moment has been really high quality. And rather than, you know, I hate it when I don't feel like I've got enough time for people. And that happens a lot. When you get 20 or 30 people through a home, I tend to focus on the ones that have, you know, taken a contract or are interested or bid on another home. Whereas now I feel I can, I don't know, I feel that I'm dealing with a bunch of people that are, you know, wanting to, I guess, transact in a real estate way. So I think it's back to basics, back to keeping a tight rein on your hot buyers, back to, you know, having that conversation. Because we're only having maybe 3 or 4 people through a home, we can give the owners a lot more feedback about those people. And we know when we're off track pretty early as well. So, you know, and then often I'll say to them, well, do you know what, we need to, you know, do a bit more marketing. We might need to get a, you know, some sort of editorial online. I think people are reading a lot more of reading and looking at a lot more real estate information online as well. They're, you know, they're with the websites. I've noticed they're looking sort of more deeply into the suburb and the latest sales. And so the more information that they can get from those portals is actually, they're really utilising. People come armed with the latest sales and, you know, oh, Tracey, I noticed that you sold this house to these people like 12 years ago, and what was it like then? And, you know, everybody seems to know everything, which is actually great. They're really well informed. Yeah.
Tracey, we've noticed that people search differently for property now. It's not just the parameters that used to be included, i.e., bedroom numbers, block size, housing features. People are now looking for social elements when they're searching. Have you noticed a change in that?
Oh, definitely. You know, years ago we used to just get locals looking locally, and you'd get a few out of area people, but and they'd sort of ask us about what was the area like and all that sort of stuff. But people do so much more research now. They hop online, they look at how the market has, how it's tracked over the last 10 years in a particular suburb. But they're also after that lifestyle sort of as well. So they like to know about schools and transport and things like that. And for example, on Homely, homely.com, they have the suburb reviews from people, and it gives you a little bit of insight that perhaps buyers and sellers or buyers might have put on, a bit of history around the suburb, all that sort of stuff. So I think that definitely people are looking to know more about it before they make that decision, because it's a decision that changes your life where you decide to set up camp for the next 10, 15 years with your family, and where they're going to school. They need the right vibe for the right people, and often they're coming from, say, the inner west, or they're coming from upper North Shore, or they might be coming from interstate, and it's just getting that whole vibe. And I think they research that and decide on suburbs based on a lot of that lifestyle stuff they're reading on the site.
So true. Tracey, you're top 10 or consistently top 10 in McGrath nationally. You have integrated your passion being real estate with your lifestyle, where you live and where you work. So you've got an ability to able to sort of work and probably enjoy it with a lot of socializing and those sort of things. What does a week for you look like? What are some of the success habits that agents might be able to take away from how you operate?
Yeah, look, I think interacting with a lot of agents that are doing well. We do that within McGrath. We spend a lot of time with top 10, top 20, top 5 women, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of sort of similarities, I guess. Everyone's, I guess, pretty health and lifestyle are pretty important. If you want to have longevity in this kind of crazy business, you've got to maintain, your health. You've got to exercise. I exercise with a trainer 3 days a week. I do a lot of walking around my suburb. I find that's really helpful because, you go past houses and go, I did speak to that person a while back, and I think they might be able to do something. I always take my notes in my, dictate myself a few notes while I'm walking. So it's also really important to get involved with local businesses. I sponsor a lot of local events, art show, the local rugby sponsorship. So, those kind of things regularly are really important to get involved in. But look, if you're not at the point where you're going to actually take on a sponsorship, you can just get a really nice network of local businesses. I've done that over the years, with some restaurant and shop owners and, solicitors and conveyancers. And I find that's really, really helpful to just build a network that you can meet with and bounce off ideas. If you don't already belong to one of those, I think it's highly recommended to you get involved in a few things locally. It's always been so important to me. But so, exercise is important. I'm a bit of a late starter in the day. I tend to go and do my own thing in the morning a little bit, start a bit later, and I'm always kind of, working into the evening, because I find a lot of my clients and demographic like to talk to me perhaps at the end of their day. My clients, my owners might want to chat after 6 or 7. Now that suits me because I don't have young kids, but some of my colleagues, they do the opposite. They come in really early. I know, Pete Chauncey and Brent and John Peranchi, some of those guys, they're probably the earlier starters, and they'll do their calls in the morning, get that out of the way, and they want to get home and sort of have dinner early with the family. But I've got an older daughter that's sort of finished uni, and I can now sort of spend a little bit more time in the evening and go and do some of those visits with people that way. It's just particular stuff. I tend to just deal with my buyers and sellers and new business and follow up in that way. I've got my sort of top 20 people that I'm following at any time, and I try and make those calls pretty early in the day. And the rest of the time, look, my team, I'm working with 4 or 3 other people at the moment, and so I've got a great buyer, some guys working specifically with buyers. I've got Stephanie that assists me with some of my bigger homes and also does a bit of our admin. Looks after buyers as well. So we're all pretty close, and you know, we work closely together, catch up regularly. But you know, that's kind of what the week looks like, and
Yeah.
try and take, you know, a bit of time out. Normally, you know, Friday afternoon or something like that. But I guess my social life and my work life kind of intertwine a little bit. I think everyone's a bit like that these days.
All right. Lastly, what are you reading at the moment? Is there something good you're reading? Got a hot tip on a good book?
Well, I actually belong to a local book club, and it's another way that I kind of interact with some of the ladies in the community. And we come up with some, you know, each time we try and be quite diverse. We try and stick to sort of a lot of Australian writers, but look, nothing specific that, you know, probably the whole readership would love to hear about. But you know, I try and intersperse a bit of fiction with a bit of you know, stuff that's going to assist me with being, I guess, a better manager and a better, but personally speaking, I find one-on-one contact great. So I love to, you know, catch up with various trainers and do a little session here and there with various people that, you know, just to sort of take you out of your comfort zone a little. In order to look at a bigger picture, we spend so much time in the business working on micromanaging, and I like to look at the whole thing and go, okay, where do we want to be next year, and where have we come from last year, and kind of look at that. But you know, I think it's been great the last month with a much quieter sort of day-to-day lifestyle, that we've been able to do a little bit more of that. Most people I've spoken to are feeling the same way.
Yeah, terrific. Hey, Tracey, thanks so much for giving us a bit of time. There's loads of gold in there, and we wish you the best for the coming months, and looking forward to a really, really big spring.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's been lovely to talk to you, and anybody that wants to follow us on Facebook or Instagram, Tracey D at McGrath, that'd be awesome.
Thanks, Tracey. Appreciate that.
Thanks a lot. Bye.